Welcome back to Talk Tickers. Today we're doing a deep dive into Corcept Therapeutics' Q2 2025 results call. It was definitely an interesting one.
Yeah, definitely. Mixed signals at first glance, that initial after-hours dip.
Right. But then it bounced back the next day, so clearly the market digested it and, well, found something more positive underneath.
Exactly. It suggests people look past the headlines. So maybe start with those headlines first.
Good idea. So GAAP diluted EPS, that came in at 29 cents.
Okay.
Pretty solid beat over consensus, which was hovering around, what, $22.23?
Yeah, strong beat there. But revenue was $194.4 million. That was actually a slight miss against the roughly $199.4 million expected.
Still, though, 18.7% year-over-year growth. Not bad at all.
Not bad. And net income held steady at $35.1 million, just a hair down from last year. Cash position looks really solid, too, $515 million in cash and investments.
And they put some of that cash to work, didn't they? The buybacks.
Oh, yeah. $115.4 million in share repurchases just in Q2. That's a pretty significant signal from management about their confidence.
Absolutely speaks volumes. But then there was the guidance modification. That's probably what caused the initial wobble, right?
I'd bet on it. They adjusted the 2025 revenue guidance down slightly to $850–900 million. And usually, yeah, that spooks investors.
So what was the real story? Was demand suddenly drying up?
Not at all, and they were very, very clear about this. It was purely down to insufficient capacity at their main specialty pharmacy. Demand is actually, really strong.
Ah, okay. So a logistical bottleneck, not a fundamental business problem. Like they couldn't get the drug out the door fast enough.
Precisely. They use this analogy, kind of like trying to drive 80, 85 mile per hour when the pharmacy infrastructure could only handle 70 mile per hour.
Huh. That paints a picture.
It does. And they quantified it. It said it cost them about $15 million in potential Q2 revenue.
Okay, so what's the fix? You can't just leave $15 million on the table each quarter.
Nope. They're bringing a second specialty pharmacy online. It should start contributing to revenue in Q4 this year. So the idea is this fixes the transitory bottleneck, as they called it.
Transitory bottleneck.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So it sounds like the core business is humming along, just maybe hitting some growing pains.
That's the takeaway, I think. Strong underlying demand, just need the logistics to catch up.
All right, so beyond the operational stuff, the call really pivoted to the future, didn't it? The pipeline, especially relacorilant, some unexpected ALS results, and that ongoing patent fight.
Yeah, lots to unpack there. Relacorilant is clearly the big story for them moving forward.
Let's start with Cushing's syndrome, hypercortisolism. The NDA is in front of the FDA now.
Yep, PDUFA date set for December 30th, 2025. So end of year catalyst there. And management. They're incredibly bullish. They basically said relacorilant is even better than their current drug, Korlym.
Even better. How so? They expect it to completely replace Korlym.
That's the plan. The key is the safety profile. Relacorilant seems to avoid a lot of the serious side effects associated with Korlym. We're talking no drug-induced hypokalemia, no endometrial issues, no QT prolongation.
Wow, okay. That's not just incremental. For patients, that's potentially life-changing. Less monitoring, fewer complications. Huge.
Huge. And it potentially opens up the market significantly. There was that catalyst study finding.
Right. The one showing maybe 1 in 4 patients with tough-to-control diabetes actually has hypercortisolism.
Exactly. Published in Diabetes Care, they think this is driving way more screening and diagnosis. And they're staffing up aggressively to meet that.
How aggressively?
They went from 60 clinical specialists early last year to 145 now, aiming for 175 by the end of this year. Big ramp up.
And this feeds into some pretty eye-watering revenue projections, doesn't it?
It really does. They threw out a number, $3 to $5 billion in annual revenue just from hypercortisolism in the next 3 to 5 years.
3 to 5 billion.
Annually.
Yep. And they specifically said that's not peak sales.
Okay. Wow. That's ambitious. What are the risks there? Market adoption. Competition. It's definitely adoption. Educating doctors, changing prescribing habits, that takes time and effort, even with a better drug. But the safety data and the Salesforce push are their big levers there.
Makes sense. Now, relacorilant isn't just for Cushing's. The oncology side looks really promising too, especially in ovarian cancer.
Yeah, the ROSELLA Phase 3 trial in platinum-resistant ovarian cancer, PROC, it hit its primary endpoint, showed a 30% reduction in the risk of disease progression when added to standard chemo.
And importantly, did it help patients live longer?
It did. Improved median overall survival 16 months versus 11.5 months for chemo alone. And crucially, it didn't add toxicity. No extra safety burden.
That's the combination physicians want to see. efficacy and tolerability.
Right. So the NDA for that went in July. They're planning a European submission in MAA this quarter. The data is published in The Lancet, getting good visibility.
And physician feedback.
They said great enthusiasm. Doctors apparently see it becoming a new standard of care in that setting. Long term, they think PROC alone could be over $1 billion in revenue.
$1 billion plus
Sure.
on top of the multi-billion Cushing's market. Okay. And they're not stopping there in oncology, are they?
No, they've got the Bella trial looking at adding relacorilant to a triplet therapy in PROC, results next year. They're looking at prostate cancer too, trying to block tumor resistance pathways.
And combinations with immunotherapies. That seems like a hot area.
Yeah, the idea is that cortisol dampens the immune system, so blocking cortisol with relacorilant might help checkpoint inhibitors work better. It's a sound rationale.
Okay, so a broad oncology strategy unfolding. Now let's pivot to something unexpected. DA's in ALS. That trial didn't meet its primary endpoint.
Correct. The phase 2 didn't hit the primary endpoint based on the ALS functional rating scale. Usually that's kind of the end of the road. But
What?
here's where it gets really interesting. As you said earlier, they did an exploratory analysis.
What did that show?
It showed an 84% reduction in 1-year mortality in patients taking the 300 milligram dose. That's a staggering number in ALS. The p-value was 0.009.
84% reduction in dying within a year. Even as an exploratory finding, that's profound.
Absolutely. And the benefits seem to emerge early, so now they're talking to regulators.
What could happen? Could they actually get approval based on mortality data, even if the functional endpoint missed?
It's possible, especially in a disease like ALS with such high unmet need. Regulators sometimes show flexibility for strong survival signals, so maybe approval on this data, maybe a confirmatory trial is needed, but it's definitely opened a door they probably didn't expect.
Wow. Okay, one to watch closely. Let's quickly touch on MS relacorilant.
Right, their MS candidate. The Phase 2b Monarch study is almost fully enrolled, should be done in the next few weeks.
And when do we see data?
Initial readout is expected by the end of next year, so end of 2026. The earlier Phase 1b looked promising reduced liver fat, improved markers.
What's the differentiator in such a crowded MSH space?
Primarily safety, it seems. They reported good liver activity without the common GI side effects that plague a lot of other MSH drugs. That could be a big deal for patient adherence.
Good point. Okay, last piece. The patent litigation. Korlym versus Teva. Any news?
Oral arguments for the appeal happened back in July. They expect a decision from the Federal Circuit Court in the next couple of months or so.
And management commented on the importance of this.
Interestingly, yes. They specifically said that winning or losing this case doesn't change those big $3 to $5 billion long-term revenue projections.
Why not?
Because those projections are based almost entirely on relacorilant replacing Korlym and expanding the market. They're betting on the new drug, essentially, regardless of what happens with the older patent.
Got it. So pulling it all together, Q2 was noisy with the pharmacy issue, but underneath it sounds like demand is strong. The pipeline is firing on multiple cylinders.
That's the picture, yeah. Temporary operational hiccup, but strong underlying business and, frankly, a very exciting pipeline with multiple shots on goal.
So looking ahead, what are the key things for investors, for you, to keep an eye on?
Yeah. Well, first, execution. Does that second pharmacy come online smoothly in H2 and fix the bottleneck? That's crucial near term. Then the big one. Relacorilant's PDUFA date for Cushings, December 30th.
Huge inflection point.
Absolutely. Then you've got the ongoing review for relacorilant in PROC, the EU submission there, finishing enrollment for the MAS study, getting clarity on the path forward for DIS-CAs and ALS. Lots of potential news flow.
The stock's had a good run over the past year, up, nearly 60%? But more recently, it's lagged the biotech indexes like XBI.
Yeah, the last 1-3 months haven't been as strong. It feels like the market might be waiting for proof on some of these catalysts.
If they execute. If relacorilant gets approved and the launch goes well.
Then you could easily see a significant re-rating of the stock, I think. Validating even part of that multi-billion-dollar potential would be huge.
Okay, this brings us perfectly to our This Is Not Financial Advices segment.
Yeah.
Given this mix, the near-term pharmacy issue, the huge long-term potential, the multiple pipeline shots, how might someone think about this from a, let's say, speculative perspective?
All right, purely hypothetical educational. It allows you to capture potentially massive upside if that vision plays out, while limiting your initial risk compared to owning the stock outright. It hedges against some of that near-term noise like the pharmacy ramp-up or maybe a delay here or there by giving the story time to unfold.
Interesting. a way to play the long game based on management's own bold vision.
Again, purely hypothetical, high risk, high potential reward scenario.
Understood.
Yeah.
So to wrap up, Corcept looks like it's navigating a complex phase. Operational speed bumps masking strong demand, but a pipeline that genuinely looks poised for significant growth and diversification.
Yeah, Cushing's, oncology, MASH, maybe even ALS. It's quite a broad front.
Definitely. And remember, everyone, this deep dive is based on public info. It's absolutely not financial advice.
Yeah.
Always do your own homework.
Please do.
But let me leave you with a final provocative thought to chew on. What if that ALS mortality signal, that 84% reduction, is enough? What if regulators do find an accelerated path based on that survival data, even without hitting the traditional functional endpoint? How might that fundamentally change how we think about drug development success, especially in diseases where just keeping patients alive longer is a massive victory?
That's a deep question about regulatory flexibility and patient priorities. Something to definitely think about.
It is. Keep digging into these stories yourselves and let us know what you think.
Yeah, we always appreciate hearing different perspectives.
That's all for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time on Talk Tickers.